Viewer discretion is advised. Adam Morris squinted through the windshield as he sped along the icy highway. Snowflakes cascaded down in a relentless flurry, blurring his view of the road ahead. He was running late for Christmas dinner and cursed under his breath. His wife, Sarah, had called twice already, wondering where he was. The road, usually familiar and comforting, seemed different tonight, more sinister. An unsettling sensation crept over him, as though someone or something was watching him from the back seat. He shook off the feeling and pressed harder on the accelerator. He was desperate to make it home. The road Adam Morris traveled was the sort of winding rural highway that seemed to stretch infinitely into the heart of nowhere. Officially designated as Route 23, it cut through dense forests and desolate stretches of snow-covered land. During the summer, the route was picturesque, with towering trees and vibrant green foliage on either side. But in the dead of winter, it transformed into a bleak, icy corridor of shadows and isolation. The snow fell heavily that night, thick flakes descending like a shroud, muffling the sounds of the night and blurring the lines between the road and the surrounding wilderness. The pavement was slick and treacherous, with patches of black ice lurking beneath the thin layer of snow. Snowbanks lined the sides of the road, their heights varying where plows had passed earlier, leaving mounds that reached up to 5 or 6 feet in places. Tall skeletal trees flanked the highway, their branches sagging under the weight of accumulated snow. Occasionally, the headlights of Adam's car would catch the reflective eyes of nocturnal animals peering out from the underbrush, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. The forest was dense here, an impenetrable wall of dark trunks and twisted limbs that seemed to close in as the road wound deeper into the wilderness. Streetlights were scarce, their dim glow barely penetrating the thick snowfall, casting long, eerie shadows that danced with every gust of wind. Road signs, covered in frost and barely readable, loomed up suddenly out of the darkness, their reflective surfaces momentarily flashing in the car's headlights before disappearing into the night. The road itself was familiar to Adam, a route he had driven many times before, but tonight it felt different, alien and threatening. The usual landmarks were obscured by the heavy snow. The old, abandoned barn at the halfway point, the small wooden bridge over the frozen creek, and the occasional mailbox standing sentinel at the end of long, unplowed driveways. As he drove, the sensation of being watched grew stronger, an invisible presence weighing heavily on his mind. The monotonous thrum of the car's engine and the rhythmic swish of the windshield wipers did little to soothe his nerves. Instead, they seemed to amplify the oppressive silence of the night. Each mile he covered deepening the sense of unease that gnawed at him. The road, once a simple passageway home, had become a twisting, serpentine path through a nightmarish landscape, where every shadow held a lurking terror and every gust of wind whispered threats through the trees. It was a place where the boundary between reality and the supernatural seemed thin, and on this fateful night, Adam felt as though he was driving through a waking nightmare, pursued by unseen forces that watched and waited for him to falter. A sharp ringing interrupted the eerie silence. Adam fumbled for his phone, grateful for the distraction.
Hey, honey.
Sarah's voice crackled through the speaker.
Where are you?
About 2 hours out.
Adam replied, trying to keep his voice steady.
Sorry, I got held up. I love you.
I love you too. Drive safe, okay?
I will. See you soon.
As he ended the call and glanced in the rearview mirror, his heart nearly stopped. A ghastly face stared back at him from the back seat. Wild, unblinking eyes bore into his. Adam whipped his head around, but the back seat was empty. His breath came in shallow gasps as he tried to rationalize what he had seen. It must have been his imagination. But as he turned his attention back to the road, his car skidded on the slick surface. He fought to regain control, but the vehicle swerved and plowed into a snowbank. The engine sputtered and died, leaving him in silence. Adam cursed and tried to restart the car, but it refused to come to life. Resigned, he decided to take a moment to collect himself. The wind howled outside, rattling the car. He shivered, suddenly aware of how cold it had become. A soft tap on the passenger window made him jump. He turned, but saw only darkness. Then, a similar sound came from the driver's side. His head snapped around, but again, nothing. The temperature inside the car plummeted and his breath fogged the air. Adam knew he had to check under the hood. With a heavy sigh, he braced himself and stepped out into the freezing night. Lifting the hood, he found the problem: a loose battery connection. As he tightened it, a low growl emanated from the woods. He froze, turning to see 10 pairs of glowing red eyes staring back at him. His heart pounded in his chest. "Wolves," he whispered, hoping that was all they were. He grabbed a flashlight from the car and shone it towards the trees. The eyes blinked out, leaving only darkness. Adam swallowed hard and muttered, "What the hell is going on?" A cold, hissing voice seemed to whisper directly into his ear.
"Tonight, you die."
Panic surged through him. He quickly reconnected the battery and scrambled back into the car. The engine roared to life, and he floored the accelerator. As he sped away, he glanced in the rearview mirror and saw the red eyes chasing him through the night. Everything became a blur. Darkness enveloped him, and the world seemed to fall away. When he opened his eyes again, he was parked in front of his house, festively decorated for Christmas. The lights twinkled warmly, a stark contrast to the cold dread that had taken root in his heart. "Sarah," he called, stepping inside. The house was eerily silent. He searched each room but found no one. In the bedroom, he noticed a figure lying on the bed. Approaching cautiously, he realized it was a woman, but not his wife. Her face was pale and translucent, a ghost. Terror gripped him as the ghostly woman turned to face him, her eyes hollow and haunting. He staggered back, tripping over his own feet, and everything went black. Adam awoke with a start, gasping for air. He was in his office, the clock on the wall reading 7 p.m. It was Christmas Eve. He wiped the sweat from his brow and realized it had all been a nightmare. Tears of relief streamed down his face as he vowed never to drive that night. Instead, he booked a ticket for the next train home. The next morning, Adam sat in his living room, watching the news. A report came on about a car found abandoned on the highway he had dreamt about. The driver was missing, and search efforts were ongoing.
We have breaking news. A mysterious incident has occurred on Route 23. On Christmas night, a car driven by bank employee Marcus Parker disappeared. According to available information, Marcus was driving home when his car skidded on the icy road. The police found Marcus's car on the roadside, crashed into a snowbank. However, the driver himself was not at the scene. The search for Marcus Parker continues, with all available resources being utilized, including local volunteer squads and search teams with dogs. The police are asking citizens for help. If you have any information about Marcus Parker's whereabouts or saw anything suspicious in the area of Route 23 that night, please report it to the police. We will keep you updated with the latest information on this case. Stay safe and take care of your loved ones.
Adam shivered, recalling the vivid nightmare. As he hugged Sarah tightly, he whispered, "Thank God I took the train." The haunting memory of red eyes and ghostly whispers lingered in his mind, a chilling reminder of the road he thankfully hadn't taken.